What's good, y'all? Tony from Vegan Scratch Kitchen here. We are doing the first Vegan Scratch Kitchen long format video in almost 5 years. I started on YouTube in 2019. I left YouTube around March of 2020 because it was just too much work for me. A couple years later, I started things back up on Instagram and TikTok, and my account has just blown up over the last couple of years. I'm now at over 200,000 followers on Instagram and over 100,000 on TikTok. I've decided to come on back to YouTube. I'm gonna show you how to make the most incredible 2-ingredient Seitan chicken. Basically, we're gonna make a dough ball and we're gonna drop it in some water. Then we're gonna wash it over and over again in different batches of water. And eventually, we're gonna get this thing called vital wheat gluten, which is the result of all the starch washing away, and it's this protein. Once we've made it up, we're gonna let it sit in the fridge overnight, and tomorrow we're gonna wake up and we're gonna have this amazing final product that literally looks like chicken. And when you sear it up, it gets crispy golden brown, it remains tender and juicy on the inside. It is incredible, y'all. Let's get into it. Okay, so admittedly, one of the reasons why I stopped doing YouTube videos was because it took me forever to do the voiceover for these things because they're like 10 minutes long. It already takes me long enough to do the voiceovers for my little Instagram reels. So you know what? I'm just gonna try and give myself some grace here and just let go and just do the voiceover, and that will be what it will be. Okay, here we go. Let's make some seitan. So we've got 650 grams of bread flour. We're gonna use bread flour over something like all-purpose because it has more protein, which results in more protein in the seitan. And then we've got 350 grams of a wet ingredient, which is vegetable broth in my recipe. And we're gonna let that go in a stand mixer for about 10 minutes on medium speed. From there, we're gonna fill up a bowl with some water and we're gonna place the dough down into the water and let it sit there for about an hour. And then we're gonna put together a simmering broth for the seitan. So this is gonna have traditional mirepoix. It's gonna have some onion, some carrot, some celery. We're also gonna throw in a whole entire bulb of garlic because I love garlic, and who doesn't? We're also gonna have some lemon and some herbs along with some peppercorns, salt, and some vegetable stock. And from there, we're gonna bring it up to a simmer and throw it down on the back burner because now we have the most important part of the video, which is the washing of the seitan dough. A lot of people tried to do this by making the recipe from the one I shared on Instagram, and it did not go well. So let me show you how we wash it. So we're gonna start, the water is pretty clear, and you're gonna do this turning motion with the dough in the water, as you can see. And as you do this, it's gonna really stretch out a lot, and that's okay, don't worry. Just fold it, place it back into the water, and let's keep going. So initially the water looks a little bit more translucent, but as you keep working it, you're gonna see that the water is just gonna get nice and milky colored, and that's gonna take about 5 to 6 minutes. That's what it looks like. Then we're gonna pour out all of that, and I'm gonna pour that into my garden to water my plants because we're not gonna waste that water here. And now on to the second wash. That's what the dough looks like. We're gonna keep going with it, and as you wash, you can keep this turning method going, and the dough is gonna be a little bit more pliable, as you can see on the second wash. It's actually gonna start to fall apart a little bit more, just like this, and that, again, is okay, my friends. You can just use this method where you kind of squeeze and turn and bring it into the center, and you should be able to keep working it another 5 to 6 minutes, and we're ready for the third washing of the dough. That is what it looks like at this point. It's a little bit spongy, still some starch coming off of it. So we're gonna keep at it here. I'm gonna continue with this kind of squeezing and turning method so we can bring it together. As you keep working for about another 4 to 5 minutes, you'll be done with the third wash. And now we are on to our fourth. At this point, the water is going to be pretty clear when you pour it in, and the key to this wash is that after about 3 to 4 minutes, the water is going to be milkier, but it's going to be still pretty translucent, and that is your sign that you're ready for your fifth and final wash, which is only going to be about a minute or two. You're going to pour a little bit of water in there. That's what it looks like. Keep going with it, and as you'll see, after just about a couple minutes, the water is still pretty clear, that is your sign to be done. There is your vital wheat gluten. We're gonna pop that into a bowl and let it sit for 10 minutes. We're gonna throw it down onto a towel now. As you can see, a little bit of water has seeped out, so it's kind of wet. We're gonna get it dried off, and this is the part where we're gonna start stretching it out. And now, take your time with this, y'all. You're gonna stretch for a little bit and then throw a towel over it, let it sit for a couple minutes, continue to stretch it, but it's gonna get resistant at some point, and so you let it sit for a couple minutes, and just keep repeating that until you've got it out to about 1 foot to 14 inches. You're gonna make a couple cuts to make 3 strands, and you're gonna leave one of the bases intact. And from here, we're just gonna do like a little braiding action, basically. If you don't know how to do a braid, I'm sure that there are plenty of YouTube videos that will show you how to do a braid, but basically it's just kind of folding the strands over in a specific fashion. And we're gonna kind of tuck that end into one of the little pockets, and there you go. At this point, we've got this braid, we're gonna let it sit, and then we're gonna start to stretch it out, and you should be able to get at least 1 knot with the vital wheat gluten. And from there, you've got these little end pieces. You can just tuck those into some pockets. And look, y'all, we've got this little bundle of seitan. How cool is that? Okay, you've got your simmering broth. You're gonna take that seitan now, and you're gonna throw it down into the broth, and we're gonna let it go for 30 minutes. After about 30 minutes, that's what it looks like. You're gonna flip it over now, let it go for another 30 minutes. And here it is, y'all. You have made the seitan. Now we're gonna throw it down into a Pyrex storage container. We're gonna add some of that broth over and let it sit on the counter. Once it's cooled, pop into the fridge and let it sit overnight. And now, here we go, y'all. This is the moment that we really have all been waiting for, which is the revealing of the seitan. Okay, so at this point, it's sat overnight, it's nice and firmed up. You should be able to just start tearing it apart. And look at that. Look at the tearing action. Wow, yes, there it is, your seitan chicken. You can see the striations in it. You can see how tender it is. It's just unbelievable, y'all. So this stuff is so much fun to cook with. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make myself a little buffalo seitan chicken Sammy. So I threw down the seitan chunks into a medium heat pan with some olive oil, added a little bit of salt, got it nice and browned and crispy after about 5 to 6 minutes, and then you pour in that buffalo sauce to coat. Look at that, it's gorgeous. Okay, then I made a little like vegan blue cheese with some vegan mayo and vegan sour cream, added some celery with that seitan buffalo chicken, and check it out, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Love y'all.